EA has a notorious history of adding great new features and additions to FIFA over the years, and then removing them entirely only a couple games later.
God, I hate this game so much. It is so annoying, bro. God.
Getting Thanos snapped out of existence for no real reason.
I am inevitable.
So why did they do this, you ask? Your guess is as good as mine. Time and time again, we have to pay our respects to the fallen and lost features that we miss.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, these new generations won't understand what they've been missing out on, and they'll become all but an afterthought in FIFA history. Who knows, the snap could be coming to take one of your favorite features next. So today, I want to go back and revisit some retro FIFA titles that boast some of the most fan-favorite removed features of all time, showcasing to you why we need them back ASAP, because pretty much all of these we don't have right now currently in FC24. Make sure to let me know down below what are some of your favorite removed features, and which ones did I miss out on in this video, because I can't actually fit them all into one vid. It'll be too long. We might need a part 2. And if there's one feature you could bring back for FC25, what would it be? Kicking off proceedings with one real OGs will recognize, and that's FIFA 06 on the PS2. My first ever FIFA I played, Wayne Rooney and Ronaldinho on the cover. It was an absolute banger, and as soon as you load up into it, you don't need to do much digging around to find it. It was this little EA Sports Retro tab that held the keys to the kingdom. Not only did it include some cool mini games, but a fully replayable version of FIFA 98 or FIFA International Soccer. It's got some old footage, some tape in the background, the old console with the cartridge when you had to put it back in the Sega Genesis. Oh man, I feel so old. But even got the retro TV. You could just click right in and play straight away. Almost 12 years later, and this absolute hood classic was just implemented into FIFA 06. And then you had some memorable moments you could replay, a retrospective of FIFA, and then some details about classic games down here. We're going to explore them all because my Spanish isn't too sharp. To understand the full scope, you just got to understand what each one had to offer, and FIFA 94 Retro, you just dove straight in. It just transported you back in time to a proper full match, and the gameplay of FIFA 98 actually just loads up FIFA 98 in general. And here, you're back in 1993, and you've just got 2 games for the price of one. Game preservation at its finest. You got all the old retro menus. It was just actually just bundled in, included with FIFA 06. And I believe this game was made for like the 94 World Cup in the USA. So basically, you can just jump straight into a game. You can have team coverage, team strategy, and team formation, plus the starting lineups. I didn't expect this game to be that deep, but here you go. You've got all the old players, which I don't know if they were actually fully licensed or not. Did they have to change a few things around and have fake player names? I'm not quite sure because I don't recognize anyone on this list. What's my team strategy looking like? None. Okay, that's great. We're off to a great start there. Long ball, all out defend, attack or defend, or all out attack. Having more than like 5 options in 1993. Yeah, we've come a long way. And team coverage, what are we talking about here? Oh, you can adjust how much you want your team to cover the pitch. This is something really intricate, really detailed. I just want to go all out attack and just see what happens. Oh, there was actually a coin toss. What? This has turned into a completely new video. I'm discovering even more removed features, and these were from back in the 90s. I'm gonna go heads. You have to go heads. Do we win the coin toss? Back in FIFA International Soccer 1994, no, we lost. You get to select which way you want to kick as well. Like, why isn't... I know they're like small details, and like the game just automatically does it for you, but it's cool to have it thrown in there nonetheless. And this camera angle is actually hurting my eyes, but this is how people played back then. These were some revolutionary graphics at the time, and you just got access to hop straight back in. You didn't have to bring out the old console or the old TV. This was free to play on your PS2, and I'm sure all the memories came flooding back for people at the time, as Lars Gordon has just scored an absolute screamer inside 1 minute. This is way before my time, but I can appreciate something like this. Imagine if FC24 had like a fully playable version of like FIFA 08 or something, with all the old retro kits, retro rosters and teams. It'll just be a cool way to give back to some of the loyal fans. Hell, even probably make it a pre-order bonus. I'm giving them free ideas here, but Lars Gordon is on an absolute goal-scoring tirade, so it's kind of a pipe dream that I hope this one returns. I can't really see it ever coming back or EA doing something similar, but at least we know that back in the day, they showed some heart, they put in some effort. I love how they just went to extra detail and like, you know, made a custom background, put in the retro TV, included the old console, had some B-roll footage in the background. This would have been a nostalgia merchant's heaven. Their own little comfort corner of FIFA 06 and the memorable moments. It's just, okay, it just played a video for you straight up. I might get copyrighted for this, I'm not sure, but it's just random highlights and famous goals. Oh, I remember that. For some reason, beIN Sports just love showing old retro league goals during Serie A coverage, so make it make sense. But Ronaldinho back at PSG. Oh my god, Anderson at Lyon. Man, some of these goals were absolute bangers. And that's something that these recent FIFA games just lack completely, like any connection to the real world football. Never showing any real life pictures. Oh, this one's an absolute banger. Oh. You just don't see goals like that anymore. Anyways, after you're done watching all those retro memorable moments, we've got a retrospective of FIFA. And again, it's another one of these clips, another one of these videos. And they're just going through the entire history of FIFA up until now. So 1993, 94, all the way. This is like a YouTube video inside the game. Like, they've made themselves their own little retro FIFA history. And they're just going through the years. The first definitive football simulation, just showing off the journey, the evolution of the franchise so far. And at this point, they were kind of winning the battle with PES anyway, so I guess they had every right to go ahead and boast. They were winning more licenses, getting better graphics, awarded the most realistic game of the year, that FIFA 98 World Cup game, road to the World Cup. And I think it really puts things into perspective. FIFA 2000, undertake a full league season. 2001, you experience life on the pitch. Yeah, they probably had to work on the tagline that year. Prepare your national team for the World Cup. FIFA 04, break free with off-the-ball control. And this was just like a FIFA history lesson. For those who came along late, or if this was their first FIFA like me, I could have just gone back and watched this and just see how much these games progressed back then. Especially with the new consoles coming out at the time, it was a generational leap. Fans appreciated year after year. Now for the fourth and final option, I don't really know what to expect here. It's not a video, we have a menu of just random old players that you can unlock. I don't know how and I don't know why they are locked, but we've just got a list of some iconic players. Hugo Sanchez, George Hagi. Some became icons and legends, 9-10 years after this game came out. Zico recently added icon in FC 24, and then we just have had some players that have never ever made it to a FIFA game ever. But the player I'm interested in right now, Andreas Breme, was in FIFA 14 and 15 and then never returned again for some reason. I guess you had to complete some objectives or like actually play the game and gather XP to unlock all these players, or just unlock their player profiles and details, so it kind of acted as like a mini Hall of Fame. Yeah, you had to go into the store, go into the FIFA 06 shop, and eventually acquire enough points to unlock them all. Currently, I've got none, so I'm off to a great start, but yeah, it was just something cool you could work towards, gaining and unlocking extras. This was their version of the EA catalog, back before the EA catalog even existed, where they could unlock balls, unlock exhibition teams, which we might divulge into later. Some of the things you could work towards and redeem in this era of retro games were actually sick. Some retro kits even back then, before FIFA points were even a thing, and I know a lot of you guys are going to say this is already in FC 24, but no, it's just Ultimate Team exclusive. But whenever you unlock these retros, they let you use them throughout all the game modes. Career mode, tournament mode, kickoff. You could unlock new exclusive celebrations, new stadium packs as well, and some extra leagues. FIFA 06 knocked it out the park when it paid homage to the past and had its own little dedicated retro zone. Something exclusive to this title and something I'm begging for to come back in some capacity. Like, damn me, I wasn't familiar with your OG game, with your capabilities back then. But just like Silento in 2015, it was just a one-hit wonder. Now we're going to dial it back, jump in a few generations with a minor feature that gave players the power to customize their own game. Some options and privileges that not even nowadays with all this modern technology we're used to. EA used to give us those special privileges back then, and basically what I'm talking about is your main menu experience. This all started back in that FIFA 12/13 era, where you could select the team that you supported and the whole background, the whole color scheme would change. So right now on FIFA 13, I'm pretty sure, yeah, my team's Man United. However, when you went to change your club, it would just completely switch to the team's colors. So both Reading, QPR have that blue background, and Norwich with their yellow. Or if you were a Toulouse fan, you'd have like a nice little funky purpley pink background that would be completely unique to your FIFA 13 experience. And I know it's just a small little touch. It was minuscule in its overall importance in franchise history, but goddamn, it just hit different. And on an interface level alone, it just made FIFA 12 and 13 stand out from the rest. And FIFA 16 was where they really took it up a level and stepped into their bag when it came to customizing your own interface and actually having like a personalized experience. And for me, I had Old Trafford rocking in the background. My favorite team, Manchester United. I wasn't going to pick Frosinone because I didn't want to stare into the abyss of a generic default EA stadium. I wanted a proper licensed background experience, and not only was it just the menu background, but it was your practice arena environment too. Just having a 1v1 training, practicing on a few skills, and you know, just freestyling in an empty Old Trafford. It's just something you can't do anymore, and really, it's a burden. And to be honest, I miss it every day. Same rules apply here. You just change up your favorite team, and as long as they have their stadium scanned into the game, for example, Bournemouth at the time were recently promoted, had the Vitality Stadium added at launch, and there you have it in all its glory. It just switches up like that, and your whole menu experience and practice arena fun is completely turned on its head. And who would have thought Messi just balling out and kicking about at the Vitality Stadium? And I know you guys are going to want to revisit this feature, because this is actually the last game where you can even do this. Like FIFA 17 just switched to that default practice arena that everyone had, you couldn't change it. And this was also the last title that had the Camp Nou in-game. Yeah, FIFA 16 was the last time we ever saw the Camp Nou in a FIFA game, and now in real life it's been knocked down, so it's like a great way to go back and revisit it and see what it was all about. It also carried over into all other game modes like career mode, what team you were managing, that was your stadium backgrounds. Even in Ultimate Team you could change it up to whatever you want, and if you remained idle or AFK from the menu for just long enough, you get this nice little panoramic view, this overhead look, and it would turn your game into a nice little scenic view of the stadium, of the city surrounding it, and you'd get like, you know, the Camp Nou, the stadium badge in the bottom right corner, some fun facts with the capacity and the year it was built, just those small extra details that go a long way and make it feel like some tender loving care was actually put into making these titles. And not only for that, this era of FIFA was famous for, but it will also be remembered by the classic clash, the rivalry to end all rivalries, the two best exhibition teams of all time, World 11 and Classic 11. This was one of the last FIFA installments where you could have this great matchup and watch it play out in kickoff. The World 11 were basically made up of some of the best ballers on planet Earth at the time. You had the likes of a future FIFA cover star in Marco Reus, FIFA 16 cover star Messi 94, the best ranked player on the game, Thomas Muller leading the line up front with the likes of Rooney and Jackson Martinez to come in off the bench. And then you had some random players thrown in there like Toulalan, Liechtensteiner at right back, Muslera in between the sticks. I don't know how this team was decided. I don't know why or who picked it, but they were just there. Some of them made it in just because they were world class, and some just qualified for the team in general because they had a great season or they were in some good form. I remember Higuain breaking the Serie A goal scoring record this campaign, so that's probably one of the main reasons. Mesut Ozil was actually showing up in the big games for Arsenal and proven to be one of the best midfielders in the world alongside KDB, who just signed for Man City. Pjanic was starting to become a problem at Roma, and Piqué and company were some of the two best centre-backs in the world at the time. But how do they compare to Classic 11, a team that have stood the test of time? We've just seen them back in that FIFA 06 segment. Thankfully, in these times, you didn't have to like actually unlock them in the shop. They were already activated and ready to use in kickoff. But they combined some of the best legends and just absolute icons of the game from eras and years gone by, back in the day when it was just black and white photos. Like, these players were from a bygone era, and they all had their photos, proper face scans, and face models in game. I think this was like the B list, the rejects that didn't make the legends in Ultimate Team list, and these were just some of the next best players that you probably might see in the future be added into the general overall database. But you had the likes of Peter Shilton, like some of these were playing in the 70s, the 80s, some of the best footballers to play in the 20th century. From your Carlos Albertos, to your Cantonas, to your Vollers, to Zico, the captain, Ronald Koeman, who was an absolute rock at the back. And look at the specialities and traits they have to boast about. This is just an absolute joke. There's another retro FIFA I didn't expect to cover. Specialities. What happened to them? I think they got removed around, what, FIFA 19 or FIFA 20 or something like that, but they weren't traits. They were kind of like what a player was known for. What they had available in the locker. What their attributes were kind of alluding to. Like, you don't get these nowadays. The specialities, like Carlos Alberto was a tactician. He was a complete defender. It just gave you more info and insight on a player that you'd never heard of before. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of Krankle in my life, but at 91 rated striker, he's a distance shooter, clinical finisher, complete forward, a speedster, poacher. You're given an insight to his game. Leonardo, thankfully, he's a free kick specialist, a distance shooter, an acrobat whilst he's at it, and it just added a little bit more depth and player insight, something that I think NBA 2K and EA's own Madden do really well. However, one of my favorite things to do back in the day was just be neutral in it all, watch them play out and do battle on the world's biggest stage, as we're hosting this one in a stadium that's been removed from FIFA and that you can only access in eFootball, and believe it or not, Madden. It's Bayern Munich's home ground, the Allianz Arena. We haven't seen it since what, like FIFA 20 or FIFA 19. It's been gone for some time now, and just the way it would light up, the way it looked in game looked absolutely pristine. They didn't show the exterior of the stadium in the build-up shots or anything, but it would just glow that gorgeous red and really set the tone as we get things kicked off. And this is how you can see the past versus the present. Two different times, two different worlds of football competing, and it was just a pleasure. It was just so fun to watch it all go down, and already we've gotten a penalty, what, 5 minutes into the game. Oh, Cantona's beefing with Toulalon, fellow countryman going at it, and he got the ball, ref. Oh my god, the refereeing, the officiating here, Cantona's just fully dived, and my word, I think we needed VAR to solve that issue out. Anyway, the King Eric gets a shot from the spot, and he's going to slot that away right down the middle. What, 4 or 5 years before he was reintroduced and added to FIFA, he was already living here in the Classic 11. And look, that does not look anything like him, but hey, at least it was in the game. You couldn't add them to career mode or transfer them to any real life team, but you know, this was half the fun. Looks like bloody Barry from down the pub. It looks like your fellow labourer just slaving away on the job site, and he's put on a pair of boots and he's out there scoring bangers. Nowadays, all we get is like the MLS All-Star 11 and like Europe All-Star 11 or something. Like, bring these two back. Come on, it's about time. They've teased us enough with these joke teams, and now I want the real players, the real steppers to come out and play again. And what about these old like region-specific covers that they used to do? Not necessarily a removed feature or anything, but it definitely made you feel like your own part of the world, your own region, I guess, was getting its time in the limelight, and it was always hyped to see who would be the new cover star next to Messi. Now, not only did FIFA 15 hold a special place with both the World and Classic 11 teams in the game, with a whole new subset and change of rosters every year, they really tried to keep this fresh, and I don't think too many people actually realized at the time. Oh man, the skill games before you load into the match, like some things next gen took away from us. If you say you want faster load times over this, look, someone's got to check your hard drives. This is just way more fun. The practice arena, little G up before you load in, the skill games where you could just warm up and test your skills out before the game. Like this was like, if you couldn't tell already, I miss these times. And one removed feature I want to explore in FIFA 15, it's a career mode exclusive and a certified hood classic that the streets have been calling out for ever since its removal, and that is the one, the only request funds, baby. Yeah, you all know how it works, no explanation needed here. If we weren't happy with what Atletico Madrid's £47 million transfer budget at the time, which probably wouldn't have been able enough to get them that one signing that would break the bank and help them win that Champions League title and get the edge over Madrid when they went back to back, when they had that little period there of reaching the 2 finals in 2 years. So let's just go, I want an extra 20 million. If I qualify for the Champions League and reach the final again, the board better approve of that. I mean, I don't see a fault in it. It's my first day on the job. We've kicked Diego Simeone out of the hot seat, so I don't think we have any license to talk, but it was just available there, and you know, regularly it would get rejected. Like, look, straight away, not even the day after. This would be the excuse at all times. At this moment, we do not feel that we have seen enough from you at this club to make a decision on the matter. Please bring it to our attention later in the year and we will reconsider. So you kind of had to prove yourself. You need to be that guy. You needed to get those results, and then the board would gain a little bit more trust in you and blah blah blah. You kind of had to play the system. Even even if I beg for like £100, they wouldn't even give it to me, trust. Yeah, look, additional funds request again. They don't want a bar of it, not even £100 note. You can't give me that to the transfer budget. It was, no matter what you put in there, it was getting thrown straight back in your face. And I'm pretty sure even if they did accept, you could only do it once a season. So if it does make a return in future, it's gonna be probably reworked a little bit. And I just want to test it out on a save where I'm 5 years deep. Currently with Palermo, I've just won the league title in Serie A, so the board should be backing me. We only have £11 million left in the budget. I don't know what I have done here. I think I tried to do the transfer budget glitch, but it just did not work out for me. I had £2 billion in the wage budget. Okay, something's up with my financials, but let's just try it when you've actually established a little bit more of a relationship. Let's go £10 million. Let's win the league title, win the cup, and reach the quarterfinals of Europe. And let's just see what the board have to say. And even when you're league winners, they've reviewed the request, but believe the sum is a bit excessive with our current financial situation and didn't want to approve it anyway. So it would have to be like the perfect moment, the perfect club at the perfect time, just to even get a few pennies thrown your way. Again, people love that feature and yearn for it to come back, but it did have some serious problems. And we kind of need to revolutionize that whole request funds option before EA re-implemented back to career mode. But hey, that's just me. Now we're regressing back to FIFA 15's predecessor, one of many people's favorite installments in the franchise, and that's FIFA 14, but we've come here for one thing and one thing only, and that's the practice arena. Whether you are on old gen or new gen, this was the last time we had a proper practice arena with multiple options where you could not only be one-on-one with the goalkeeper, of course, but practice a set piece. Have a random practice match where you can decide how many attackers, defenders there are, what team you're playing as, if you want it to be the goalkeeper, the camera angle. It was a fully fledged training mode, and something that we missed all the way up until when they decided to re-add a few features back into FC24, but completely ruined the practice arena in the process. So I guess they kind of like half-heartedly added some of these features back, but look at this training ground. I think these were one of the old practice arena environments either from FIFA 11 or FIFA 12, but just look at the character, the backdrop, the vibes were all on point. And not only that, we had more to boast about, because a main element of this practice arena that still hasn't returned to this day is create a set piece. Pretty self-explanatory what it says on the tin. You could pretty much choose a set piece region on the pitch. They were mainly attacking set pieces, either direct or indirect free kicks or corner flag routines, if you will. Just for demonstration purposes, let's just say whenever I have a free kick in this region, right on the edge of the area, on the right hand side of the box, I want my team to get in a certain shape or make certain runs or be available where I need them to be. So you could select each individual player on the team. So I want the right back here to make a run, and I just want to record him going around the wall just in case I wanted to have another option there and go short. Let's have Benzema at the far post make a little dummy run on the inside and then loop his way around. I want CR7 just to make a nice and direct run into the dangerous spots. And then I want the third player to kind of just hang back, drop back a little bit and be available there if the ball bounces to him. And then I want, you know, the midfielders to come through and push up. And whoever this man is being useless, just not even in no man's land basically, I want to get him more involved. He's just going to make a straight run into the box. So it gives you free will to be a creative mastermind behind a revolutionary new set piece, and you can go ahead and just test it out for yourself. You can see how it all unfolds, all the running paths. You can tweak it and do as many alterations and adjustments as you like, as we're just going to test it out. I don't know why I've got the pro camera on. This isn't just a training drill throwaway. I'm going to save it to my database so that it can actually be activated in a game, either in kickoff, career mode, online seasons, or anything. It's going to be one of my D-pad options, and it kind of gives you a familiar feeling to like American football where you can run plays and run through certain set pieces straight off the training grounds. This feature would have been so cool and actually useful in career mode, but it just never made its way over there. So when you're in a set piece situation in game, it saves to your profile and you can just activate it straight away and get it up and running by pressing up on the D-pad. Unfortunately, we're not in the required zone of where I actually set set the set piece region to, so I can't really activate it right now, but just believe me, you could have trust me on this one, fellas, because it's like an attack direct free kick that I nearly scored anyway, but you know, that's why you kind of have to create multiple in different scenarios, so you always have some custom set piece routines to go to, and you've got them on speed dial no matter where you are. So that was kind of a poor example on my part, but you get the gist. Now, another highly coveted and missed features that FIFA 14 has to offer was in this World Cup expansion, the little free DLC mode, where not only was there a different version of Ultimate Team and had the Brazil World Cup theme, you can play an officially licensed match without having to buy the full standalone game, which was on old gen consoles at the time, but most importantly, it had real-time FIFA World Cup challenges, pretty much a scenario mode where it threw you into any random match, any random qualifier or actual real-time World Cup game that was going on, and just gave you a scenario, gave you a set of objectives to complete. Unfortunately, I can't access it on the next gen version because you needed to be connected to the servers. Servers are down. They've been down for like the past 6-7 years. So unfortunately, you can't really relive it anymore to the fullest extent. This and World Cup Ultimate Team. However, if you are a cultured individual like myself and have a spare Xbox 360 roaming around with this bad boy on it, you can access server free in offline mode, a scenario mode based on the qualification process and all the random storylines and drama that came through the teams qualifying, and you had a bunch of different scenarios you could hop into. 23 different ones for Europe, 8 for Africa, 6 for South America, and even the smaller regions like Asia got 6, and even Oceania, with some of the smallest teams in world football like America Samoa, Tonga, Tahiti, New Caledonia, even they got shown some love, and these were like real world games. These actually happened. So basically, you got thrown into random moments in time. Like some of you will probably remember watching these games or went to these games, and you get to relive some memories. For example, England, they're down in the dying minutes against Ukraine and looking like they're headed for defeat. Can you play as Frank Lampard, score with him for the second consecutive match, and rescue a point? So you got like different objectives, different little goals you had to achieve. Some where it was player based, like Frank Lampard here, and then some where you just take over as the whole team. Like this England one where it challenges you to beat San Marino 10-0. Yes, this game was brutal. These scenarios were very creative. Like sometimes you had to come from 2-0 down, you had to score a winner with 5 minutes left to go in the game, trying to win the match with 10 minutes left, being one man down, all pulled from real world and real life qualifying moments, and you had free choice to decide the difficulty, which decided what kind of awards and offline extras you'd unlock. So let's just jump in right here. France 1-0 down. Paul Pogba got sent for an early ice bath. I don't actually know what happened in this qualification game, if France ended up completing the miracle and winning or Spain held on, but all things considered, this was a real moment in time, and it just felt like so special that EA would go back and like recreate these moments, create content around them, and create challenges that would be remembered for the rest of FIFA history. Like who would remember this game in like 30-40 years time if you didn't have World Cup scenario mode to help you out? It also just improves your ball knowledge, improves memories, makes you actually pay attention and keep a close eye out on these real world fixtures, because they could have eventually been turned into a cool scenario. Now in this case, we didn't hit any of the main objectives because I was trash at FIFA 14 then, and I'm trash at FIFA 14 now. So we managed to hit the get no yellow cards, but like the win the match and the score 2 goals, they're still there for you to achieve. So it kind of like saves your progress. And obviously you can take them on at any time, in any order. And then you even had some EA Sports extras where it was like France only, England only scenarios, and you could unlock them once you completed the main set of quests and the main set of storylines. But these were like even more, like they didn't have to go above and beyond, but they did. And again, a lovely little retro touch with like real world photos and visuals from the game, with the retro kits and some of the qualifying kits. They really went that extra mile and hit it home, putting that icing on top of the scenario mode cake. And it's sad we don't really kind of get to be treated to this kind of game mode anymore. It's kind of a relic of the past. Kind of like Captain Your Country, an old stalwart, one of the main features of these standalone World Cup games. Yes, it did come back in a little bit of a capacity with the 2023 Women's World Cup DLC add-on in FIFA 23, but very shortly you're gonna see that it couldn't hold a candle to what they were cooking up back then, with your choice of audio being from the soundtrack or having your very own customized radio show just playing along in the background in the menus. You could either listen to Andy Goldstein and Ian Dark, or the Men in Blazers, who are chatting in your ear, kind of like a mini radio show, a little podcast. And it's actually like extremely in-depth. Like they get into some weird segments and talk about random games from back in the day. It's a nice little experience, especially now that we don't have the career mode radio announcer. But me being me, I always just stuck to the soundtrack banging in the background, because not only could you captain your country, but you could captain any country. This FIFA had the most nations in game history. In the franchise history, over 200 nations who were all involved in the World Cup 2014 qualifying process were present in this game and then never showed their face again. The likes of Chinese Taipei, Hong Kong, a half-star Vanuatu, and the list goes on. And this kind of interface was synonymous with these World Cup titles. Spin the globe type interface, which just made you not only feel more immersed, but you actually got to learn more about like the geography and where countries are on the map. If you've played FIFA 14 World Cup mode, you know how to pick out Tonga on the map, and I'm sure you would have been the real life of the party knowing where Kuwait was on the globe. Like, it's just something, again, something so minor, something that just felt perfect for a World Cup game to include the map of the world and be involved in one of the most crucial elements of this career mode experience, where you select your nation. And they also had the FIFA World ranking of the team, so for the purposes of this video, just to showcase the depths or the lows you could reach, I want to be captain your country of the British Virgin Islands. And not only could you create or be a real player, but you could have 4 players in one save. Whether you wanted to create 4 superstars or see who would make the cut of the final 23-man squad, the power was yours. The angle was there. Whether you created players or used existing players in a bunch, you could kind of write your own storyline and cook up some of your own experiments. And you're probably thinking, like, what are you gonna do with a 44 rated striker Trevor Peters? There was no training or skill games back then. Oh boy, come here lads, let me show you something. I'm not even done though, because you could choose either real or custom fixture types. I kind of want to be realistic with it though. I want to experience the authentic fixtures and what the British Virgin Islands have to go through in order to even be considered a qualification spot at the World Cup. Here is the first set of CONCACAF qualifying in the group setup. We have to verse the likes of Aruba, Turks and Caicos, St. Lucia, the Bahamas. Depending what region and team you pick, obviously you're going to have different qualifying procedures. Like this one is like an aggregate based system, so you have to play 2 games. Some you just get thrown into a qualifying group straight away, but if you're playing with one of these squads ranked in the 200s, you're gonna have to work your way up from the bottom. This is the most real thing you're gonna get to a World Cup proper road to glory. Back when you had a proper squad ranking, I don't know how 44 players in the British Virgin Islands are better than this kid, but you had your tiers. You had your B internationals, your tryout, which you had to work your way up from when you became on the radar. You had a fringe player, an international, and then you had to eventually work your way into the final 23 before the 2014 World Cup rolled around. And before every game, you had a little bit of a training focus. You had your main competition, who were the players you were in and around, who you had to focus on and try overtake in your road to becoming captain. And here are your rival standings. The rival standings were basically who you had to choose from too. So you could play as your own player, you could play as someone else, you could tank someone else's career just so that Trevor Peters could rise his way to the top. And look, we're out here in 2010. This is like the very, very early stages, the beginning of the World Cup qualification process. And what was even better is that you could sim fixtures entirely. So you didn't really have to play any of these friendly fixtures. You could let it all play out in the background. Here we go. I want to sim to the training session. This is where you fight for your place. I mean, it was just basically skill games. You needed to get a high score and be the best performer in this batch. This definitely takes me back, and something that we didn't have the luxury of back then was simulating training and just getting it over and done with. No, if you wanted to be the best, you had to grind for it, you had to work for it, and play these monotonous skill games week after week. And now, thanks to my result off the training grounds, I think, no, I didn't do good enough, and I'm still stuck on a +1 to my passing. Now up to a 26, so we're moving up in the world, as you can see. I say it a lot during these retro videos, but they just don't make them like this anymore. It was cool to see, like, my player get its own love in its own little World Cup spin-off, and it's something that the fans and career mode enthusiasts have been begging to see back for years now, but you're just not going to get it anymore. I'm sorry. We're just going to have to appreciate its brilliance for what it was almost 10 years later. Now, the last little batch of features I want to end out with are some career mode exclusives exclusives that date back to FIFA 10 and FIFA 12. If you don't know, I've got to put you guys on and showcase to you how good we were living it back then. We were not only treated to club sponsors, but club staff. I know it's kind of hard to imagine now considering we've gone so long in career mode without them, but not only that, we had board level difficulty. So if you didn't want to get sacked and wanted a large transfer budget at your disposal, £81 million on amateur board difficulty, you didn't have too many expectations waiting on you, and you didn't have to worry about getting sacked if you didn't sign 3 South American wonder kids in the space of a week. You could play the game at your own pace, and it was kind of the closest thing we're ever going to get to a difficulty setting in career mode. Not only that, but before you launch into your brand new save, you had the choice of available sponsors. Now yes, due to licensing, they were all fake companies and just made up brands. And yes, FIFA 09 had a way longer list of names and sponsors to choose from, because in FIFA 10 you could start to see EA strip it back because you only had 3, and they gave you a signing bonus and a win bonus that got added to your transfer budget. Because Phantom Energy is offering the most win bonus per game, I'm going to side with them. The others gives you a little bit more signing bonus, but I'm going to approach this sponsorship deal for the long term. And then at the end of every season, you either got the choice to renew or just choose a completely different sponsor. Now we kind of have the reintroduction of staff in FC 24 with like your coaches. However, it's not on this level. It's not this deep, as we have staff upgrades in FIFA 10. Something that I've wanted back since it got removed in like FIFA 12. I think that was the first FIFA that didn't have these upgrades, where you could not only progressively work towards getting new skill points, earning more money through sponsorship deals, but upgrading different areas of your club, not just on the pitch, but you know, a head scout, a negotiator, a stadium manager. And these were the days where you could actually set your match ticket price. So at United, I want to make the most bang for my buck. I know people are going to roll through the doors no matter what, so high ticket prices it is if you feel greedy, or if you're for the fans, you could just set them to low, but you're not going to receive much money to like help improve, you know, your stadium facilities or your negotiator. It would be cool if they had a youth academy section in this, but you had your fitness coach, where each upgrade you bought increases the rate of recovery after matches and helps your rate of fatigue during the match. So it actually had an impact. You had your goalkeeper, defensive, midfield and attacking coaches helping your players gain XP after every single match and help them grow, and then you eventually just worked your way towards maxing them out. 5 stars everywhere, 10s out of 10s, and before you know it, you were building your very own super club in career mode. But yeah, this eventually, I think this was one of the last FIFAs where staff upgrades actually existed, correct me if I'm wrong, but yet again, a crucial integral feature that we still don't see. It still gets a snub in modern day career mode. Oh my god, I just dropped a load and spent about £75 million on staff upgrades. Obviously, like most of these features, needs a little bit of tweaking and reworking, considering I can nearly max out every category with only around 80 mil in the bank. But come on, the idea is there. The feature needs a return. And last, but certainly not least, is FIFA 12's Player Manager Career Mode. Yes, believe it or not, I'm taking you back to a time where we had more than 2 career mode types, which both had Creation Center integration. I think that deserves its own special video. But if you know, you know, and when you greeted into the career mode menus, Player Career Mode, Manager Career Mode was there, and then the hybrid of the two, where you could have an influence both off and on the pitch, manage your lineup, and join in the action for key games. It was kind of a mix of both. This got removed in FIFA 13. I don't really know why, but both FIFA 11 and 12 had this feature. And again, kind of like Player and Manager Career, you can select your team, you can select your player, you could add your Virtual Pro into the mix, which was kind of like your created player that spanned across game mode. So whether you were in Pro Clubs, Career Mode, My Player, you could just load in the same profile, you can turn on or off playing as AI, and you advance in where you can either create a brand new Virtual Pro or create a player. I mean, they were kind of the same thing, but I don't have any online mode to use my Virtual Pro in, so we're just going to go basic create a player. And again, another random little feature I've just discovered that we don't really have anymore is the randomize button when you create your player, and you could just sit here, keep generating some crazy name or a character or like a player you stumbled across, because it pretty much randomizes everything besides his appearance. It's all of his actual metadata and his name and his nation gets changed, but nothing about his look. You know what? I'm happy with this lad. We've got Matt McDonald, whose commentary name is Tonga and is born in Eritrea. He's a right midfielder, 43, left-footed, and was born in 1970. What? That would have made him like 42 in this game? okay, I mean, if you say so. I guess we are creating a player manager, so technically he's on the tail end of his career, but that didn't really matter. It gave you the freedom to create like an 18-year-old player manager, and you had free realm over his entire attribute selection. You could just make him a 99 rated GOAT. The option was there, the freedom was yours, and we're just gonna lock in advance with Mr. McDonald, where this game still had the board difficulty. I'm just gonna put it on amateur because I don't want to know what Roman Abramovich has to say to our boy Matt as you sign the contract. Pretty standard, pretty much the same as when you'd start a manager career, and just like that, you're living like Miley Cyrus, the best of both worlds. You get the OG career mode menu interface with your player up there, also managing the squad at the same time, and this is how you would appear in the team management section. You could just throw yourself in, no matter how bad you were. I want my 60 rated McDonald to get a start over Ramirez on the right. It's player career mode without all the bells and whistles, without the CPU AI manager making some dumb decisions and not playing you, or playing you out of position, or playing the wrong formation, playing a system that's clearly not working, and you still got your squad report, your squad ranking, which was an OG feature from back in the day, and it's good to see that we're not last place. Even in the My Career tab, it showed both what you did as a manager and both your achievements as a player. They were both there simultaneously, and you could continue for however long you want. I mean, within that 15 season time limit, but you could be a future prospect at a club whilst also managing one of the best teams in the world at the time, being a half-star manager and a future prospect. It was an interesting game mode that I never really explored too much when I played these games back in the day. I just never thought to give it the time of day, but clearly I wasn't familiar with the player manager life, and younger me wanted nothing to do with it. I see the errors in my ways though, because you also had an influence on the transfers and who was bought, who was sold. In regular player career, you know, the manager would have probably sold Drogba in this situation, but no, I have the power here. I want my boy Big Mac to be playing with the best players in the world, so that's a flat out no. I feel like you could easily run a club into the ground, or easily just prioritize yourself over the team in general. But hey, it's still a worthy and viable option, different way of playing career mode entirely, and I think it still warrants its way back into modern day FC installments, as you could literally just sim a game with your own created player involved and just watch it as a manager. I don't know what would happen if you got the sack. Like, would you get fired as a manager or fired as a player? Like, could you just pick and decide what team you could go to next and just instantly become a player manager there too? Someone who has a little bit more experience and knowledge about the player manager life, let me know down below. Again, would have been cool if you could like jump into a simulation game halfway through the match, like we kind of have that luxury now, but back then it wasn't really possible with the consoles and technology at the time. But I don't see why they couldn't re-implement this and give us a whole new rebranded player manager mode. One of my main theories as to why EA aren't just going to reintroduce all these features in FC 25 and, you know, drop a surprise package on us. Because that in a perfect world, if they manage to cram all these extra features in that have been removed in the past all in one, then they're kind of forced to think of fresh new additions to add into next year's game, and they're gonna actually have to work. So I guess they've kind of resorted to like slowly drip feeding them back into the game a la Create a Club in FIFA 22. So don't expect these to come back in any capacity anytime soon. These are just probably some of my most favorite removed features, and hopefully we get to see them one day in all their next gen glory, or they can inspire EA to actually create something new and innovate. Anyways, that's been it from me. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, make sure to drop a like down below, hit subscribe, turn on the notifications so you never miss out on any of the retro content coming to the channel. Follow me on all my socials, the links will be down in the description below. And as always, I've been your boy Sir BCHD. Have a great day, and I'll be sure to catch you lot on the very next video. Bye bye. Bro, some of these removed features, man, this is just pain.